What up, what up, what up? Football fans all over the world. It's your boy Mac the Giants fan. I'm here with my guy, the super dope co-host, Adam Costas. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for the real deal NFC East round up. Punch that intro.
Cash flow.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Philly B, my homie Philly B. I see you must have made it safely in up there, man, up in Boston, brother. Hope you taking in the sights, man. Thanks for tuning in too, man. Appreciate you, my brother.
Philly, yes, the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town.
I just realized something, man. Looking at that opening clip, man, that intro, man, we're gonna have to make some little do some edits, man, on that, man. The very first clip is Saquon Barkley, man, running that thing against the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Oh my God! Well,
we're gonna have to make some changes.
I will say this: when you said the real deal NFC East round, I just felt it reverb in my speakers. Like there it is. There's the energy that we've lacked, I think, for a while. So intro is fire. I'm glad to be here with you, Mac, on this free agency frenzy. Free agency has begun, obviously, but thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It has absolutely been bananas, man. But before we get into everything, man, I did want to start the show off. Let's get the elephant in the room for New York Giants fans. It's just getting the Saquon Barkley move. Saquon signing a free agent deal with the Eagles, man, the enemy. And I personally, do I like the fact that he signed with the Eagles as a Giant fan? Of course not. As a Saquon Barkley fan, of course I hate that he signed with the Eagles. But at the end of the day, it was his decision to make. He made his decision, man. Look, I don't want to tell people how to fan, you know what I mean? But it's just been a lot. It was a lot of craziness on Monday, man. A lot of disrespectful. What I felt was kind of disrespectful in a sense too, man. It just got to a point where it wasn't even about football anymore. It started taking personal shots at the man, kind of, questioning his character. Like this man was just this past season was a Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. People that are pieces of shit, they don't get that honor to even be nominated for that award. You know what I mean? So to just question this man's character the way people have been coming at it. Oh, he's a liar. He's a traitor. What? How is he any of those things? Because he signed with the Eagles. They offered him $26 million guaranteed. Yes, the Giants offered him a similar contract a similar contract, but it was that guarantee money wasn't similar. I'm sorry, it was close, but it wasn't quite the same. I'm sorry, that's a lot of money. And at the end of the day, he felt like
26 for 26.
That's what he was worth. That's what he felt he was worth. He went out and he put his name. He's gonna put pen to paper. I guess officially today, putting that pen to paper. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, how can people just throw shade? Just throw shade at the man the way they did, man. Like as if he didn't just leave it all on the field for the last 6 years for this organization and for this team. He was literally the only thing this team had offensively for the entire time he was here, other than his rookie season. He did get to enjoy his rookie season with Eli Manning and Odell Beckham out there on the field. A couple of other legitimate offensive weapons. You know what I mean? That obviously was his best year statistically. Go figure. Riddle me that. That's what I'm talking about right there. Stuff like that. Saquon Barkley has been the only thing that's kept defensive coordinators up at night when they had to come face the New York Giants for the last 5 years. So, and then people just being kind of like as if forgetting what he meant to this team, questioning his loyalty because he signed a free agent deal with the Eagles. There's lots of things that go into those decisions. The Giants didn't make an offer serious enough to make him want to sign back. to sign back here. He owes the New York Giants nothing. He owes the New York Giants not a goddamn thing. So they didn't offer him something that made him want to put pen to paper here with New York. He took a deal with the Eagles. There's a couple other things that could go into that decision. You sign with a team like the Eagles after playing for the Giants and probably living in the area here. You can still live where the hell you live. You ain't even got to move, really. You ain't got to displace, uproot your family. All kinds of things go into these decisions, man. People have lives outside of this. It's bigger than football, man. People think about the whole big picture, the whole spectrum, man. So, look, I'm still a Barkley fan. I'm going to always remain a Barkley fan. 2 games a year, I can't ride with him 2 games a year for obvious reasons. But other than that, man, I wish him the best of luck. I really do. People out there wishing he gets injured and trying to pull up all these narratives and say all this crazy stuff. And the Tiki Barber thing, people that live in glass houses should not cast stones, bro. That's all I really got to say about Tiki Barber, man. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous, man. But I just wanted to say my piece about how I felt. Saquon Barkley meant a lot to this New York Giants team. He was definitely the heart and soul, and I just think people could have been a little more classier about the way they felt, about the way they commented on Saquon Barkley, pretty much acting like he was absolutely nothing. It didn't matter. He doesn't matter. That was ridiculous, man. Look, he did sign with the enemy. I can understand being mad about that, upset about that, but to sit there and attack a man's character, that's just ridiculous, man. That's ridiculous. So that's all I have to say about that. I just wanted to say it and get that off my chest.
Well said, as always. I do have a bone to pick with Tiki Barber for Tiki, whether it's tongue in cheek, anyways. And let's be honest, Tiki Barber knows the platform he's on. So let's not act like tongue in cheek doesn't mean anything when you're talking to thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who are also New Yorkers in your right? And you said you're dead to us, dead to me. Well, listen up, Tiki Barber. You've been dead to me since you did all those heinous things in your personal life, which isn't my bad, but it publicly got out, and publicly the way you handled it was terrible. Okay? And then on top of that, you came out and went after our quarterback, Eli Manning, while he was still playing. And during the 2000 season, you quit on the team, okay, saying you were retiring. So you have no leg to stand on to say you're dead to us and speak for the fans. Because Saquon Barkley has done more for the community, has had a cleaner image on and off the field than you have ever had in your life, and is a better talent than you. Okay? Now, he might not have the rushing yards that you have, right? He may not have the rushing yards due to non-having longevity, but if you were to compare, if he was to stay here, he probably would catch your yardage total. He probably would have. That's how dynamic you were, Tiki Barber. But you've ruined a legacy on your back and are trying to get it back with WFAN and have people try to relive the love story with you by slandering this guy. Listen, he went to the Eagles. It's not going to be nice seeing them twice a year with Saquon Barkley, and you don't think Barkley's going to have a grind to pick with the Giants? I would too, Obviously, the Giants offered what they offered a year ago. He didn't want to take it. That giant offer stood on the table for this year, basically. And they were like, we're offering you the same amount we were last year. He said deuces, and he said, I'm going to go with the highest bidder. Philadelphia, who's looking to gear up to go for a Super Bowl run, said, thank you. Welcome over here. We'll pay you your money and then some, right? So now they not only get a piece to add to the puzzle, and think about this, all right? All the personal attacks aside, right? I don't really care about that. Barkley deserves his money, should have got his money. I knew he wasn't going to get it with the Giants. Okay, the Giants, you want to talk about a team that did him dirty, right? We always talk about Daniel Jones getting done dirty by the Giants. How can we ever talk about Saquon Barkley getting done dirty by the Giants? Okay, the guy in his first year, there was he had like the depth per contact, like first contact was like -5 yards. He was getting hit in the backfield almost every play in his rookie year. Every snap. And that guy squirmed his way through and got positive yardage. That's how good of a player he was. Most backs couldn't shake off the first guy enough to get it, and it's a loss of 3 or 4. Instead, Saquon Barkley made guys miss, so it was a gain of 2 or 3. Okay? And while we want to talk about, I told Barkley he should have left probably last year and things like that when he had the chance to do it. But I've respected Barkley's game. I knew what he was. I understood how dynamic he was for the quarterback. And people shit on him without the core. He carried the offense. He was the reason they went to the playoffs. And you know what happened when they went to the playoffs and they couldn't use Saquon Barkley? They lost. They lost. The formula was lost. They couldn't hang with the Eagles blow for blow, band for band, as the kids say these days. And with the Minnesota Vikings, the Vikings defense was so poor, and they probably were worried about Barkley beating them, because if you look at Barkley's numbers, he only had like 10 carries for like, I don't know, 56 yards or something like that. I mean, it was effective, but at the end of the day, it wasn't like a 100-yard game. They were allowing Daniel Jones to pass. Why do you think he did so well? Because they were worried about Barkley beating them. They didn't care about Daniel Jones and his rinky-dink tag of receivers. And Barkley will be missed with, with everybody who wants DJ to start. Well, good luck. Start without 26. Because guess what? Teams used to game plan for only Saquon Barkley last year. Who are they game planning for now? Devin Singletary? Okay? Like, what are we talking about here? They're going to sit back, relax, and let Daniel Jones throw them the game. They're going to be like, we don't have to do shit. They don't got nobody on offense that's worth a damn. Okay? Except for Saquon Barkley. Now, guess where Saquon's going? Saquon's saying, peace to you, New York. I'm going to a team with an offensive line that can actually block for me. Okay? He's going to probably average 4.2 yards a carry or some shit like that, because they're going to be able to block for him. Oh, by the way, he's not going to see 8, 9, 10, 11-man boxes anymore, because guess what? You can't do that when you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on each side. So regardless of how you want to, us Giant fans want to look at it, and I'm not bitter at all. Go get your money. Okay, the Giants have pissed away first-round pick after first-round pick after first-round pick because they couldn't do shit and the quarterback stinks. Okay, it just happens. Evan Ingram,
Facts.
Saquon Barkley,
Facts.
Andrew Thomas. I mean, what are we fucking doing? Guys are getting. We talk about the future. We talk about all this other bullshit. Saquon Barkley was a statesman here, and we slander him. He said nothing to the media when the team falls apart. He says nothing. He's not leaking shit. He's not causing trouble. He's not doing nothing that a losing team would do when you're on a losing team. He did none of that. And now he goes to a team that's destined to make the playoffs and possibly could be in the Super Bowl when it's all said and done. That's what Saquon Barkley does for that team. And when he is running for 1,300 yards and doing deuces to us in the end zone, when he's running for a 50-yard touchdown on our fucking piss-poor defense, then we'll be saying we should have appreciated that guy. Now, I was not an advocate for signing him. I thought he lost a step, and I'm not losing sleep over it. But I will not slander his name walking out the door. You know what I mean? I might say, don't let the door hit you on the way out or something like that, but I'm not going to say he wasn't a Giant or a good Giant. And his time here, he did more to clean up this franchise offensively than anything Daniel Jones has done. As a matter of fact, Daniel Jones wouldn't have gotten paid if it wasn't for number 26. Okay? So when those checks clear for Daniel Jones, he's probably sending a few dollars in royalties to Saquon Barkley saying, thank you for getting me paid. So Saquon, I'm glad you got your money. Saquon, I'll see you 2 times a year. Make sure you don't beat us up too badly. And that's my piece on it.
I mean, absolutely. Well said. Thank you, Adam. Perfectly said, man. And thank you guys tuning in, man, right now. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate the 9 in the chat. Daniel Barry, Sports Highlights, man. Appreciate you stopping through. You're a loyal listener, man. Definitely appreciate your support, my man.
We always do. It's all we do this for you guys. We're just 2 guys trying our best to make you enjoy your off season.
Yeah, let's get to a little bit of business here, man. Let's get to a little bit of business now. Let's start with the team that's kind of had the least, been the quietest, the least activity. We'll start there, even though their name screams the loudest.
Loud.
Seems like this is
well said.
But they've been bars. But they've definitely been the most silent team in the NFC East thus far through this process, man. The Dallas Cowboys have not made any kind of moves of significance. They've lost a couple of guys, Tony Pollard moving on to Tennessee, and a couple other guys they've lost. But I don't know what to really think about the Cowboys and their free agency right now. This free agency period early going on. It has been quiet. They haven't really jumped in and tried to make anything happen with any of the guys. I mean, maybe they're just perhaps focusing on their in-house, you know what I mean? Trying to take care of their own guys. Dak Prescott's coming up on the final year of his deal. I mean, maybe he wants looking for an extension to continue his career with the Dallas Cowboys. CD Lamb is destined to be paid. You know, you just seen the Calvin Ridley contract earlier a little while ago, so it's a guy like CD Lamb destined to get paid. Maybe just a couple other guys that they're just trying to work on and hang in there. I don't really understand. I don't know. Maybe you've heard some more things about what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys, but I just don't. I don't right now. They haven't really done much and haven't been making very much noise. They've been definitely the most quiet out of all the four teams in this division.
You're right about that. I think they're trying to figure out their next move. They've lost a few pieces here and there. Not necessarily huge pieces. I mean, Tony Pollard, obviously, they put the franchise tag on. They were hoping to probably get him back. He obviously didn't work out. Now he's over in Tennessee. So good for them. Again, they're going to be passing. Tennessee looks like they're going to be opening up their offense a lot more. So we'll see what happens. In terms of, I think the thing with Dak Prescott is interesting because the one time they did this, he had a baller season they had to pay him, where they were like, oh, we're going to wait and see. And we'll see what happens. I think Mike Zimmer coming in elevates the defense a little bit on his schemes and what he does. He's a little bit different than Dan Quinn. But right now, they didn't sign Gilmore back yet. An operative word, it's still early. We forget that it's only 2 days into – we forget it's only like 2 hours into the league year. Right, the league year started at 4 p.m. We get all the tampering bullshit now that happens the few days before, and we're like, "Oh, where's it going?" Some teams are, kind of resetting themselves and getting and seeing what players shake off. Like Mike Williams, for example, he just got cut basically almost an hour ago. Right now, did that happen during the tampering period? Did it happen before the tampering period? No, they basically waited until the 11th hour to then make the cut. Right? They couldn't get any trade offers probably or anything like that. So they made the cut. So sometimes you're just waiting for the league year to start to see where you're at, who's coming through, on other teams, and then you'll make your moves. I don't think the Cowboys are not going to make their moves. I think they're going to try to extend their guys and CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons. They're probably going to let Dak Prescott ride, and they're probably going to bring in a few other wily veterans to shore up this team. Remember, this is the Cowboys, man. Every time we think they're down and out, they find a way to do things. Their scouting department's pretty good. Okay, they're picking up middle of the road in the draft again, and I'm sure they'll get an edge rusher or fill in one of their needs at that position. And just there's a lot of pressure on this team to do well, and we'll see what happens. This is the Dallas Cowboys. We say they're. I don't know if I want the Dallas Cowboys to be quiet. To be honest with you, I think when they tend to build themselves up more when they are legitimately the lead dog. And right now there's quietly a lot of turmoil, not turmoil, but quiet drama over there right now. And they'll figure it out. I think they will. In terms of just go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was actually talking to a buddy of mine, Dallas Cowboys fan, coworker, and he was saying to me that the Cowboys don't really make too many splash moves in free agency. They usually tend to be a little more quiet. People don't really realize that they actually don't really put themselves out there like that in the early part of free agency. They kind of tend to make their moves a little bit later in the process, in the off-season process. They're more methodical about it. So, I never paid much attention to that, but now that I think about it in hindsight, I can't really think of maybe a last time I remember a big splash move in free agency from the Dallas Cowboys. But it seems like they're just kind of doing things the way they kind of go about their business the way they kind of always do. But I'm sorry, you can continue what you were ready to say. Oh, you still there, Adam? You muted. Well, I don't know.
Sorry about that. Sorry, I stepped away real quick. Did you ask a question or anything? I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say you can continue what you were getting ready to say something.
Oh, right. What I'm saying is Cowboys always have been in the spotlight, and right now, just because they're not players in free agency doesn't mean they're going to not figure it out. They still have a solid team. Most of their defensive players are back from last year. I'm sure they're going to get more players. Zimmer is a more aggressive coach, so we'll see how that affects him, and we'll just see how the Cowboys go. They haven't really done much yet, but I don't think it's uncommon in this era to not see the Cowboys make a big splash. So to say that they're done is hogwash in my eyes. There's the Cowboys always find a way to get somebody or something or someone. Whether it's picking up a Dante Fowler or picking up somebody who always performs well. They find a way. So we'll see. We'll find out.
I mean, look, honestly, if you just keep it real, like Cowboys can run it back right now with the people that we know are on their roster right now, and that's going to be a very competitive football team. So they're a very talented team, regardless with the pieces that they already have in place in house. So, like you said, they're just kind of doing the way going about their business the way they're used to going about their business, man. They don't usually go out there and make the big splash moves in free agency, and that once again they haven't really done much of anything thus far through these first few days with the tampering period, and now it's official where they can get guys can put pen to paper right now. So we'll see, man. Like you said, the Cowboys still legitimately they're still a contender. You got to still consider them a contender. They're still one of the top teams in the NFC conference, man. So
It's just
right
interesting to
now,
see.
yeah,
I
yeah.
do
So
believe the
just
Eagles
because,
leapfrog
especially
them with talent right now.
I mean, I could, yeah, I could go with that, but that's for the moment right now. Like a wise man once said to me earlier today, man. Championships aren't won in March, so it's still it's a marathon, not a sprint, man. I mean, I
Well,
think the thing about the Cowboys, which is making it look a little more eerie this year, standing out a little bit more, is because of the activity of the other three teams in the
right,
division
right,
that have been
exactly.
highly active, and it just kind of makes it just seem like what the hell are the Cowboys doing? The Giants making moves, Eagles making moves, Commanders making moves, and the Cowboys are just kind of you know going about it, like the tortoise in the hare, slow and steady.
Right. Well, I think they have some
Maybe it'll win the
calculations.
race for the Cowboys.
Right, they have a lot of calculations they have to do. Right, this is not just they might be thinking long term, like how are we going to do this? How are we going to approach? Remember, they have Trey Lance on their team right now, right? So Dak Prescott could be a free agent next year, and maybe they're thinking of ways to build the team going forward and less cap, right? Because if you think about it right now, if you sign those extensions, you might have to get rid of Dak Prescott if he's not willing to come off his extension because you're going to be like, we can't sign CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons. They're a lot younger. They're still in their prime. Here's this kid, Trey Lance, who we've been grooming, right, for this, position. They traded a fourth round pick for him. This has got to be the reason why you're doing it. So that could be something to think about. Just having Trey Lance on your back pocket. I know people. I'm not trying to make moves bigger than they are, but you have to think rationally sometimes about certain moves. Does this mean Trey Lance is going to be a Hall of Famer or be good? No, but it's like this: when you have a spare in your house of something, whatever that is, you always know you have a spare, right? Your spare tire. You know you have a spare. That's why you can do whatever you got to do. If you need a new tire, you can just put that on for a while. It could be your temporary fix until you get something new. So think of a backup quarterback as a spare tire. Now, the quality of that spare tire, do you have a donut or do you have an actual full-size spare where you can leave it on there for a while and not worry about it? That's the difference in backup quarterbacks these days. It's if you got the full spare, that's the guy that you can possibly build with, like a Garner Minshew type. He's like a full-size spare. You can put him on there and he can go for you. Or do you have a donut like a Zach Wilson who's you want to replace very quickly?
Absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, since what's going on, Wells, man? Thanks for stopping in, man. Greatly appreciate it, man. Shout out to Wells, man. Go make sure y'all go subscribe to Wells, man. Putting it down on his channel over there, man. Dropping great videos, man. But no doubt we can really move on from the Cowboys because, like you said, they just haven't really given us much. They've given us not much to talk about, and we'll go down to the nation's capital, man, and visit them Commanders, man. They've been a busy team, and they've definitely made some moves, man. Some very positive moves for this football team. Definitely going to be a new look team. Bringing in Austin Eckler, one of the big pickups in Austin Eckler, man, from the Los Angeles Chargers, man. Big moving, change of guard at running back. Still have Brian Robinson Jr. there. That'll uh, be interesting little combo right there. Eckler and Brian Robinson there. But adding Marcus Mariota bringing him in, I'm going to assume to be a backup quarterback or potentially, I don't know what their plans are at the quarterback position right now, honestly, but I would assume they're going to get one in the draft. But we don't, I mean, still to be determined. They added Zach Ertz, veteran tight end, Dante Fowler, big time pickup there, man. And Jeremy Chin, safety. They've made some moves. They've definitely been a busy team the last few days. What do you think about some of the moves to Washington, about some of the moves for the Washington Commanders and what it can mean for them going forward in the NFC East division?
Well, I think it's a solid foundation they're starting with. They're bringing in veteran players. See, when you rebuild the right way, you can do things like this, right? When you know you're getting your quarterback, you can go in and sign a lot of these filler players. Some of these guys they're getting right now are going to be here to help groom the new quarterback in, and you can still be competitive, right? You said Zach Ertz was there, right? I mean, that's a tight end that can help your quarterback. They have Marcus Mariota, a guy that can start if you'd think Jaden Daniels can't go or Sam Howell will compete for the job, right? Sam Howell now becomes a trade asset if you want. You've now reset the market. This is what rebuilding looks like from the ground up. They're doing it the smart and right way. Okay, they got Austin Eckler for a cheap deal. Okay, they're putting the pieces around this young guy, right? They didn't really have a real tight end. They had Logan Thomas, right, who was good, but Zach Ertz a little better, a little younger, and an actual tight end. I'm not saying Zach Ertz is going to be a world beater, but think about this, right? You're running your offense. You got Scary Terry on one side, Josh Johnson on the other, and now in the slot you have Zach Ertz and Austin Eckler coming at you, right? If you're looking at what a lot of these teams are doing, they're getting backs that are versatile. Austin Eckler is one of the best receiving backs in the game, right? And he's one of the best blitz picker-uppers in the game. He may not be to get you rushing, touchdown or rushing yards after rushing yards after rushing yards, but he's an effective passing player. And to me, they're building on the offensive line, right? They've got a couple guys there on their side. I wouldn't be surprised they draft one in the draft, not at 2. I don't think they're taking Joel people. I think they're going to draft. I think they're going to draft Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams. I just think, Drake May has. I don't know if Drake May has flaws or believe him, but I think those two guys are surefire guys that can come in and start right away. And if you look at Marcus Mariota, what quarterback in college football has similar traits coming out this year? If you look at the quarterbacks and line them up, it would probably be Jaden Daniels or even a Caleb Williams slightly because they both run. But Marcus Mariota can do some of the things that a Jaden Daniels or even maybe a Caleb Williams could do in terms of running out of the field, doing your RPO game, and that type of stuff that Cliff Kingsbury can run, which he did with Kyler Murray. So I think they're starting off pretty good. I think they've done some good things. Obviously, Cameron Curl's a guy they would love to have back, but I don't think they're going to pay him right now. But we'll see. But like I said, they're building a foundation. They're not trying to be, quote unquote, competitive next year. They're trying to be able to field the football team, get your guys in place who are going to be here, your stones, your building blocks, basically redshirt this season. Try to be as competitive as you can be because I think Dan Quinn's going to have them at least competitive. They're going to look like a competent football team out there. He's done it wherever he's been. I think they'll be a solid defensive team. That doesn't mean they're going to be winning 8 or 9 games. It means they're going to look like a team in the rebuild, but at least it probably won't be as dismal as other teams. So the Washington Commanders, I think, are the perfect team in the NFL right now to do this. Chicago's the other intriguing team because their team they're building, and here, take this into consideration, people, and this is what I want to talk about before we go to quarterbacks. The Chicago Bears are building their team with the premise that they were going to have Justin Fields on there. They didn't have no idea how badly the Panthers were going to do, right? They made all these trades trying to make their team better. Well, guess what? Now they have the first overall pick. And people are going to say, well, see, look at the Chicago Bears built their team first. No, they have no idea that it was going to be there. But now that they have the first overall pick, you can take a quarterback like Caleb Williams or even a Jaden Daniels, which I think might be the case for them because of the things that Caleb Williams is kind of portraying, missing pro days and doing all that stuff, is not really rubbing Chicago the right way. And if I'm Chicago, I wouldn't want to deal with all that drama. So I'd probably just take Jaden Daniels, call it a day, and then let Caleb Williams go to Washington where he's from and where he probably would fit in perfectly down there with what's going on, and away you go. And so the Bears now have a team that they're building up. They signed their long-term cornerback. They got a receiver in DJ Moore. They have a solid offensive line that they're building. They keep adding pieces to that defense. They're trying to win games, and it just happens to be that they also have the first overall pick. So it's working out for them, and not to mention the 9th pick. So this team could essentially get their quarterback, a receiver, and an O-lineman, all at the same time, and really be building for the future for this team. So Washington has a similar set. It's going to be whether it's Caleb Williams, Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels. I think those are the two guys that they're picking. I know people put Drake May in that slot. I don't believe Washington wants Drake May. I believe they would like a Jaden Daniels. So getting him guys right now, building the team out early, allowing these things to happen, I think they're going to – if I'm a Washington Commander fan, I'd be intrigued. I'd be excited because it looks like we have competent people in the building right now.
It'd be wild if they did. It'd be crazy if they did draft Drake May, replace one North Carolina quarterback with another one. That would be kind of crazy. But.
Oh, man, I didn't think about it like that. When you think about it like that, they're probably like, nope. Well, that makes it even more Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams. And I do believe think it's going to be Caleb Williams when it's all said and done. Because I think some of the things that Caleb's doing, what his father's saying, and how he's kind of making us think about certain things may lead the Bears to be like, look, we don't want to deal with all the drama. We'll just take Jaden Daniels, who's rated number 2 on our board, or 1A, 1B, whatever the case may be on our board. He's rated just the same as Caleb. We'll take Jaden Daniels, who fits the same kind of similarities that Justin Fields has. You'd have a guy that resets and does some of those things, and then Caleb Williams slides right into Washington, where, again, he has family there. He would be much ballyhooed, and I can't believe I'm wishing Caleb Williams to come into the NFC East because that's kind of, it's like bringing another quarterback in to the NFC East. It just makes my brain hurt thinking about it. But enough with me rambling on about Washington. I don't know if you have anything else.
I was just curious because the Sam Howell thing is still very much. He's still very much a part of this football team. As you see, they just added Mariota. They're clearly in position to get one of these top guys, the quarterbacks, like you just said, Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams, or perhaps I have no idea if how they feel about Drake May, right? Personally, I don't know how Washington feels about those guys, but
could be Michael Penix Jr.
They're in position to get one of them. Yeah, they're in position to get one of these top quarterbacks in this upcoming draft. So, what do you think the future holds for Sam Howell? I can't imagine they would house all 3 of those quarterbacks on the roster all at the same time. I would think that.
Well, it's interesting. What do you do? What do you do? Because what do you do?
That's what I'm trying to figure. Like, what do you try to maybe potentially deal Sam Howell some kind of way? Try to get some compensation for him in some kind of way. I just don't. I don't know where they would be thinking, because I would think you didn't bring Marcus Mariota in, a veteran like Marcus Mariota, in to not have him be a part of your team next year. I just don't.
Well, you paid him $6 million.
See the logic in. I get they didn't break the bank or anything, but
he's getting paid more than Sam Howell, like.
That's also very.
What I'm saying is like there's more of an investment in Mariota than, let's say, a Howell, right? And I think it's going to come down to. I think it's going to come down to the regime, right? The regime didn't draft him, and there's twofold you could do. You could try to do the Justin Fields route and get rid of the guy before the draft, which could happen, right? I'm not advocating that. Like, that's not what I don't want him for the Giants right now. There was a time where I thought about it. It would have been nice to have him now on the team because you can make him the bridge quarterback going forward, whatever the case may be. But he showed you he could do something. He had 3,800 yards. He had 21 touchdowns. And he threw 21 interceptions, but 21 touchdowns is nothing to sleep at, okay, in the NFL in your first year. 3,800 yards is pretty good. So there might be a market for him. And I think it might be a team. I think he's going to be a Joshua Dobbs type of guy where some team is going to get injured, their quarterback, whatever, and they're going to be like, you still have Sam Howell on the roster. He's not doing anything. We're in the midst of this playoff push. Can you, we'll give you a 5th-round pick for Sam Howell, right? Or something like that. And I think that's what's probably going to happen. He's probably going to be traded. If I'm Sam Howell, I probably demand a trade right now. Because to me, it's like this. What is Marcus Mariota going to do? Because you're coming there on the premise that you possibly have a starting job, right? Because who knows what Adam Peters told you in the meeting? Who told you? Nobody knows, right? Nobody knows what they're going to do. Marcus Mariota could have been sitting across from Adam Peters, and they could have said, "You know what? We want to make you our starter, but we are going to be in the midst of drafting a quarterback. We want you to be here to be that guy that grooms." And let's be honest, he already had that in Atlanta, so he probably understands that role. Like Atlanta kind of did him dirty because they kind of promised him the job and then took him out for Ritter. And then that failed in their face, and he probably was like, haha, I could probably still be the starter in Atlanta right now. But I think he'll understand. He also was the backup for Jalen Hurts last year. So I get he'll understand if he needs to sit. Sam Howell, on the other hand, proved that you can play in this league. Is he a starter? I don't know. I mean, Sam Howell's done more in a short time than a lot of other quarterbacks that we, praise on a day-to-day and day-out basis. He had more yards than Trevor Lawrence his first season. Right? I mean, like, what are we doing here? Do I think he's a starter?
I think with Sam Howell, I think he's borderline right now because I think he was kind of in a bad situation. I mean, let's face it, last year because he definitely had moments of brilliance. I mean, and especially the earlier part of the season, and then he just kind of got a little shell shocked. The pass rush was just continuously getting there. I mean, this kid was sacked.
He threw 40 times a game.
He's one of the most sacked quarterbacks
yes.
in the league, and absolutely, that was it. Yes. That was also it. Like you just said. I mean, he's a young quarterback, and you're dropping him back 40 times a game,
and he's getting crushed.
A lot of times it was against ferocious pass rushes. So I mean, that's enough to rattle a kid up, So
and he looked
rattled. Kid up and kind of shake his nerves a little bit. Yeah, absolutely.
He looked like on the field
going down the stretch.
On the field, he looked. Yeah. Like he was just taking a beating for no reason. He looked like I can't say anything because I'm Sam Howell. But when you drop back 40 times a game, right, and you when you have running backs, you should have probably leaned on, right, and Robinson and Antonio Gibson, guys, you probably should have leaned on with a young quarterback. You did the opposite, and so now, it's all like I don't know what to do because he could be a solid number 2 for you. He could literally leapfrog Marcus Mariota. In this thing, right? I think they're going to I think what's going to happen is they're going to try to bring him to training camp. They're going to play him out, right? They're going to let him shine a little bit, and then closer to the season when cuts come, they're probably going to try to get him on a team somewhere and try to get an asset because he's going to be an asset on the team. And like you said, I think there's something to work with there. But again, he's a 5th round pick. They're not going to have any sympathy for you. He wasn't drafted by this regime. And unfortunately, if the Commanders, and this is the same thing with the Chicago Bears, if the Commanders weren't up close, right, and if the Chicago Bears didn't have the number 1 pick, they're probably sticking with their quarterbacks. They're probably sticking with Sam Howell another year, saying, you know what, we'll try to see if we can get the best out of this guy. They're not investing the same capital in the draft the same way as they normally would, right, especially the Bears. The Commanders, if they happen to land at like 10, I don't think they're gonna try to trade up, but they might just say, let's roll with Howell one more year and see what it is. Now that they're the 2nd pick, you have this conundrum where you're like, well, I'm not gonna just rest with Sam Howell because he's a fifth pick when I have the 2nd pick in the draft. Like that's not where you're gonna do that. So I think if the situation presents itself, he's gonna be traded. And he'll probably have more trade value than a guy like, let's say, Daniel Jones sitting on the bench or something like that. So,
I think absolutely he will, because he showed a little promise. Like you said, definitely showed a little promise at certain points of the season.
Still young.
Let me address my homie right here in the chat, my homie G, man. God, appreciate you stopping through, bro. Definitely a pleasure, man. But yeah, I did talk to Joe. That's another good friend of ours, man. I talked to him the other day. We was talking throughout the day on Monday after the free agents, after Barkley signed with the Eagles. He's an Eagle fan, by the way. My guy here, he's an Eagle fan. But
I had a friend that called me.
We talked, It's all good, man. We gonna be all right, man. Like I said,
still friends.
Still be my boy. Like I said at the top of the show, Barkley's the homie. Still, I just can't root for him 2 games a year. That's it. That's what it comes down to. 2 games a year. That it just is what it is. But
listen.
Most definitely. Thanks for stopping through, though, bro.
Well, yes, thanks for coming through, G. Thanks for being a new. Well, I don't know if you're a new listener, but thanks for listening in.
But Yeah, we could. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you got any more thoughts on the Washington Commanders right now? Are we ready to?
We can move on to the next team. I mean, the Washington has done a lot. This draft is going to be big for them. I think this is their foundation, and they're going to get their franchise quarterback. I can't believe I'm saying that. And it's already looks like Washington. It looks like Washington's right now in a better mode to reset. In terms of getting their quarterback and everything going. Not saying the other teams won't, but they're in a good spot right now.
Appreciate it, bro. But all right, let's move on to them Philadelphia Eagles then, man. Might as well just take it to the Eagles, man. Another
Take it to
team that's
the
been making some big time
Eagles.
moves, splash moves these last couple of days, impressive moves. I think they've made moves that have shot them
Rich get
back
richer.
potentially, at least on paper, back to the top of the being a serious threat in the NFC, back up there in the ranks of the San Francisco 49ers and such, man. And I think right now the Eagles look like they mean business. Obviously adding Saquon Barkley, which gives that offense yet another just different dynamic. Another player that can be very explosive. I think we'll get to finally see how explosive Saquon Barkley still could be. I mean, I think you're right. He probably has lost a step from his first couple of years, but at the end of the day, he's
What's
still
up?
Saquon Barkley. He's still a dynamic still a dynamic talent, and that was a huge pickup for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it changes the game in the NFC East division. And then they didn't stop there, man. Defensively, they made a couple of big moves defensively too, bro. Bryce Huff is nothing to sneeze at all, man. Bryce Huff and then Chauncey Gardner Johnson last night. I'm sitting there trying to enjoy my damn tacos last night, eating my tacos, trying to enjoy my meal. I keep looking up at the TV and it just keeps splashing across the screen. Eagles sign Chauncey Gardner Johnson 3. I'm like, come on. Like, give me a break already with this team, man. Like, what? You're already good. Like, stop this craziness, man. Like, stop being greedy, goddamn it. Taking all the good players, man. But nah, all serious aside, that's a great pickup for the Eagles. I think they should have never let him walk in the first place a year ago. As we know, he was part of the Eagles Super Bowl team that went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. They let him walk in free agency. He played last year in Detroit,
I just want to break
and
something
he's back
quickly.
on the open market. And the Eagles realized what they missed, and they made sure they signed his ass right back last night. What you got,
Breaking
Alex?
news: Bobby Wagner of the Seattle Seahawks is signing with the Commanders on a 1-year deal. I think it's a 1-year deal worth up to $8.5 million, includes $6 million guaranteed. Thank you, Ian Rappaport, for breaking this. I broke news the other day on a space and got. So I'm making sure who my sources are this time when I read it. But just wanted to let you know the Commanders that's right, the Commanders who were just speaking about having a good offseason just landed Bobby Wagner. He reunites with Dan Quinn in Washington. Sorry to stop your thought process on the Philadelphia Eagles, but I thought that was important since it's an NFC East
Oh
team
no, good.
to
That's
break
good.
it
That's
here.
good stuff, man. We just got done covering the Commanders, and they just made another move, man. And
Right, this
Bobby
show is
Wagner might not
live,
be the guy he
fluid.
used to be, but he is still a very much a good veteran linebacker, and he's another good addition for the Washington Commanders, man. So props to the Commanders. I think these NFC East teams are all making moves to make themselves better, man. It's going to be a fun division to watch, man. Overall, I mean, the Commanders and Giants still aren't where the Cowboys and Eagles are. I wouldn't say, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a much more competitive division. No mess, no nets, no Jets. Appreciate you stopping in, my brother, man. Appreciate you, man. I understand what you're saying. I'm not giving them a championship. I'm just saying that the Eagles are definitely making moves that put them back in a hunt seriously, man. I mean, you just can't ignore the things that they're doing right now, the moves that they've been making, man. Making some really impressive moves, and they're signing back some of their other key guys too. I mean, on with the Landon Dickinson, I believe. They
Yes.
signed back at offensive on the offensive line, and I mean, so they're definitely doing some positive things, man. And I can't come out here. I mean, I can't come out here. I got to call like it is. That's why we call this the real deal NFC East roundup, man. The Eagles are making them moves right now, man. That are putting, like I said, they knew they made a mistake with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and they corrected that mistake, and they brought him, not only brought him back, they said, we're bringing you back, and we're gonna have you for a few years, brother.
And they gave him a raise.
Make sure you stick around.
Hope you know your landlord from the last time you were here. Because you might be staying a while, but it's funny that you talk about the Eagles because I was getting off the phone with I had a friend call me AK Reality NFL Reality Sports. If you're out there listening, hope you're doing well. He was telling me about, oh my God, this team, I can't believe it. We might get McKinney, we might get Barkley, but I can't believe this team is doing all this stuff. What are they doing? I'm like, yo, man, it's only been like 10 minutes. Like, give us some time, you know what I mean? My team hadn't signed, at this point, the Giants hadn't signed anybody, and the Eagles are, they had, just extended the guard we just mentioned. I forget what his, we just had his name. What was it Creed Humphreys? Not Creed Humphreys.
Landon Dickinson.
Landon Dickinson. There it is. Right. They just extended the guard, Dickinson. And he was like, "Oh, what are we doing? We need defense. We need defense. We need defense." Then bang, Saquon Barkley hits. Then bang, we need this. And he's like, "Oh, we need cover corners. I'm like, you gotta let it play out. Like, you're wanting to rush this thing." And me as a Giant fan, I was more anxious than he was because here I am sitting here waiting for my team to sign anybody, and it looks like Joe Shane's asleep at the wheel, and he's obviously not. But the Eagles, they find a way. They always find this way to keep getting better. And you said they're possible contenders. I think this breathes life back into them as the contenders and possibly the top team, because if they fix up their defense, right, and Vic Fangio is their defensive coordinator now. They're gonna have Jordan Davis now on the line, Jalen Carter. They just signed Bryce Huff on that team. I know they're trying to get rid of Sweat, but you got to think they have Nolan Smith on the other side. They still have a formidable front four. They're going to get some linebackers as they go on as well to kind of do that. They should have been in the market for Patrick Queen, but they weren't. But that's a different story for another day and a different show. This is the NFC East, not the AFC North. So we're talking about the NFC East now. But the Philadelphia Eagles also then got like CJ Gardner-Johnson, which means they've checked some of the boxes off of their list, and they can still do a lot more things right now. And the Barkley signing, I think, really changes them. Let me paint the picture. Everyone in the chat, the 25 of you, close your eyes for a minute. And pretend you're Eagle fans for a minute. You're sitting there, and you're the defensive coordinator, and they're reading you down the team. They go, well, they have one of the best O-lines in football. They have Jalen Hurts, who's a dual threat quarterback. They have A.J. Brown, who's the top receiver in the league, 1,500 yards. They have Devontae Smith, who's at least a 1,200-yard receiver. And they have Dallas Goedert, who gets you 800 yards a day. Oh, and by the way, did I mention they have a new shiny toy in the back? That's in Saquon Barkley. Like, close your eyes and just think about that. If you're a defensive coordinator, I am losing sleep over this. How am I going to defend all those guys? I am losing.
How do you even game plan for that?
Like,
how do you
what am I
plan
doing
for that? Seriously.
Right. I can't blitz them. I can't do it. You know why? Because if I stop the run, I've got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Who am I covering with the safety? Who am I doing? One of those guys is going to be open. And Jalen Smith can hit the deep ball. And Kellen Moore is going to set him up with the play action. Look what he did with the Cowboys. It's almost going to be a similar offense what the Cowboys did. Right, with probably a few more tweaks because now you have Barkley. Barkley changes everything for you. He adds as a weapon. Right? Out of the backfield. He's a dynamic runner. Okay? And guess what? You can't put a linebacker on him. I guarantee you Kellen Moore is going to have a wheel route for that kid, unlike our offensive coordinators. Like, what are you going to do? You get that guy one-on-one with a safety, right? Or a linebacker coming out of the backfield, and he has nothing but green grass in front of him. I mean, my God. What are we talking about? We could be talking about.
Just give him a hose to run through.
Exactly.
He's going to have
holes.
He's
going to have the best offensive line he's ever been part of.
Like,
remember what I said a few minutes ago, like 40 minutes ago, where I said Barkley got touched in the backfield the most his rookie year. He probably won't see a damn person in the backfield unless it's on a blitz and they miss an assignment. He's going to have like a wall, the Great Wall there, and he's going to be able to pick his hole. A, B, C, maybe even D. You know what I mean? Like, he can go anywhere. Heck, I can go all the way to the the outside. Oh, wait, there's nobody touching me in the backfield. I don't got to dance. I can get 5 yards before I even get contacted on. You know how many big runs this team could generate? And I know my friend was talking about, like, oh, well, we didn't get DeAndre Swift involved in the game. Guess what? You weren't paying DeAndre Swift $12 million a year. You're going to get this guy involved in both the passing game and the run game because he is going to be that dynamic. He's going to change. And he's going to change. This is where a running back like a Barkley and a CMC can really earn the money, right? If you look at what the Ravens are doing right now, right? Imagine if Barkley was with the Ravens right now, right? How much different they would be. Like right now, they're a power team, and Derrick Henry fits their bill, with their power running game. So he's more of what they're looking for. But if you had Lamar Jackson in the backfield and Saquon Barkley, I'd be crapping my pants. But I still have Jalen Hurts now and Barkley, who, listen, you're not going to be able to defend them. You couldn't defend them the year they went to the Super Bowl because every first down they were getting 5 yards, and so everything was in the playbook. They could do the RPO, they could do the slant route, they could do this, and now you have Barkley in the backfield. If he gets 100 yards in a game or he breaks a long run, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like, they could just literally run the football on you and dink and dunk down the field with Barkley in the backfield, run screen passes, do all this. He could literally do it all without even A.J. Brown having to touch the ball. And now you have those guys and a healthy Dallas Goedert. I don't know how to defend them. I'm glad I'm not playing in the NFC East as a defensive coordinator because good luck on that nightmare that you're going to be having. And I can see it right now. You're going to have, like Mike Zimmer say, well, man, I'm losing sleep over this, right? Like Jalen Hurts, dynamic. A.J. Brown, dynamic. Barkley, dynamic. Devontae Smith, dynamic. Dallas Goedert, solid. I just named you 5 players on their team. And the Eagles, they incorporate other bums around there too. Quez Watkins and all that. That's not to mention all those. And who knows what they're going to do in the draft. They could get another player, another tight end to add to this room of already good tight ends, another lineman. I mean, we can sit here and joke about the defense. The Eagles, the NFC is wide open. There's like 3 teams that are elite, right? You have Detroit, who you don't know what's going to happen with them. You still have the Eagles, who are probably had a Super Bowl hangover last year. Now they're resetting with a better offense than they had last year, which they're going to try to make track meet out of your ass. And then, oh, by the way, they have Bryce Huff, who can go sack the quarterback, right? And then, now you have the Cowboys, who we have no idea what they're doing, which kind of scares me to think about, because if I'm not knowing what the Cowboys are doing, that means they're probably going to creep up on me. And next thing you know, be in the NFC Championship game or some shit, because that's what the Cowboys end up doing, right? And you have the 49ers, right? Those are basically the 4 teams right there that really head this. They basically shot to the top of the NFC on that stock with this, because they have probably the 5 best skilled players you can put out there outside of maybe the 49ers, who knows they're going to have Brandon Ayuk. But, you could arguably say George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, and Christian McCaffrey can rival the 5 guys I just named in Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. I mean, look at that. Look at that, how they do that right now. Defensively, I think they're going to get their sea legs. They have some talent over there, and I think they'll acquire more talent via free agency and the draft. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, like you mentioned, best corner they've had are going to have on the team, and they do have some young guys as well that got some valuable playing time. We'll see where they go from there. But those are the 4 teams, and I think right now, offensively, they're one of the best there is. Now, there's going to be other teams that fight. We can talk about those teams, Atlanta and those things, but that's for premium takes, right? But right now, the Eagles, to me, offensively at least, are scary. Like, legitimately one of the scariest teams in the NFL. And I would go, if you're putting them against the 49ers against their offensive crop, I give the advantage to the quarterback. Everything else is almost a wash, right? That's it.
I mean, certainly on paper. I mean, like you said, games obviously not played on paper, but right now, this Eagle team, it looks like you said, offensively they look absolutely scary. They still have work to do defensively for sure, but offensively they look absolutely scary. They're I just can't.
Well, what kind of defense do you need if you're outscoring everybody? Man. Like everybody, you think about the Colts, right? I always bring up the Colts. The Colts in 2006, when they won the Super Bowl, they were outscoring everybody, and all they did was just sack the quarterback because you had to pass to get back into the game because you were down like 21-0. You're like, oh shit, like I can't run the football anymore. So maybe this will help their defense out by scoring points because I think they're going to score points like right now.
I mean, it probably could. I mean, their defense is not exactly. They're not exactly. I mean, you're talking about a pass rush now that has Hassan Reddick and Bryce Huff a part of that mix, man. So like that's
They still
gonna
have
be,
Reddick?
a little. They're gonna be definitely formidable in that category as well.
Wow.
And don't they still have Reddick?
I know he's
I
on
don't
the
remember
chopping
them
block.
losing him.
I don't remember them losing him either.
Oh, I didn't.
I know he wanted to be traded.
I
Dallas Cowboys may sign.
I didn't hear anything about that. I mean, unless I missed something, but I thought he was still very much a part of what they were doing, man.
He requested a
still
trade.
got
I
the
don't
old Wally
know.
veteran Brand. Oh yeah, you still got the Wally vet and Brandon Graham as well, don't they? I mean, they still.
Yeah, he just
I mean,
signed.
he's a definitely. Yeah, he's definitely a veteran.
He'll be a
older player, but he's
rotational
definitely
player.
still savvy. He can still provide something. Yeah, give you something, man. He still give you a little something, man.
The rich get richer,
So,
as I say.
This team is definitely yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what it all comes down to with this Philadelphia Eagles team. Now, by the way, just what's going on, Scrub Zero? Thanks for stopping in. Definitely appreciate you tuning in too, bro. But the Eagles, let's talk. They had a couple of big time retirements also over the last couple of weeks, man. Fletcher Cox, stable on their defensive line, has had a great career. I think I know you can make a case that he's definitely will be in Canton one day. And also on offensive side of the football, Jason Kelsey, man. Another big time, I know Eagle favorite staple. Has been their center for many, many years and been the anchor of that offensive line. How do you think and also a future Hall of Famer in his own right? How do you think this affects the Philadelphia Eagles? I mean, just losing that kind of experience and on offensive line in particular, losing Jason Kelsey, a guy that I'm sure was the glue on that offensive line that was keeping everything, holding everything together. Do you think it will have maybe a negative effect on their offensive line? Or you think they're able to rebound and still kind of overcome?
I think they'll be able to rebound. I think Kelsey's a big blow. But these teams are smart. The Eagles have been smart. It's not like they didn't know Kelsey was going to retire, right? He was contemplating it for a while, so I'm sure they have a contingency plan to kind of get there. What you will lack is the leadership, but a guy like Barkley brings that type of leadership to your offense. And it kind of is moving on from the old guard, so to speak, right? Peterson's players, Kelsey kind of getting out there, and it's kind of moving on the culture. Fletcher Cox, obviously, might be in Canton one day. Possibly, he probably will be at least nominated. That's how good he was. He's a different player. He obviously was the heart and soul of that team, but the Eagles have kept their guys long enough, and they brought in guys like Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter to replace these guys. That's what good teams do. They forecast the future by looking at what they have, and they don't just let the star power stop them from not drafting somebody. Jalen Hurts was drafted even though they had Carson Wentz on the roster, okay? And whether or not, I mean, this was before the season even started, they drafted Jalen Hurts just to have a quality backup in the pipeline in case their man went down. Well, obviously you know how that turned out, right? So they took swings at players. They brought in Nolan Smith. They brought in Jalen Carter. So guys like Fletcher Cox and who's the other guy that left for the 49ers, Hayes can go, right? So, I think this is we'll answer your question in a second, Lewis. I think that this is, one of the smartest run organizations in the league, and they always have a backup plan. They always have some type of contingency for what to work. But to answer your question, Lewis, I don't know if you're an Eagle fan or not. Do you think Howie would draft J.D. McCarthy? He was available 53. Shout out to Brazil. No. One, because I don't think McCarthy's going to be there at 53. And two, there's no way you're giving up on Jalen Hurts right now with weapons with Barkley. You gave him and things like that. You may not have to do the tush push ever with Barkley on your team. because your offense may not be designed to get 9 yards, because that's how they designed their offense, to get 9 yards in your first 3 downs, because then you could push your way to yard number 10. I think it'll be a little bit designed a little bit differently this time, but I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback, at least not a J.J. McCarthy at 53. That guy's not going to be, as much as we hate J.J. McCarthy, he is not going to be there at 53. Okay, he may not make it to the second round. He's definitely going in the first round. Okay, he's definitely going first round. He may not make it out of the top 15.
The only way I can see J.J. McCarthy being available at 53 is if he trips over a blade of grass during pro day and tweaks his knee. Other than that, he's not going to be available at 53. That's just no way in the world. J.J. McCarthy, contrary to what people are saying, is he's not getting out of the first round. He is not getting out of the first round. He is definitely going to be getting, somebody's coming up and getting J.J. McCarthy in the first round.
Yes, Joe Milton's a better.
Wherever somewhere
Joe Milton's better.
Yeah, go ahead.
Joe Milton's better prospect than J.J. McCarthy being there. Like, if you wanted to draft Milton because he's 6'5", has a laser rocket arm to be your backup, and then that's what you want to do, I don't think they get McCarthy. What does this say? I mean, if McCarthy is available at 53, I think the QB factory would draft him. I mean, maybe you would, but I think Joe Milton's more likely, and you could make that guy into, who knows? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. He may not make it out of the top 10.
Oh, no, that's
experts are talking. JJ, yeah. I'm hoping he's there at 6, but that's a story for another team.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, at this point, I just don't. Yeah, he's not going to be there 53, but it would take something really, really crazy to happen between now and the draft for him to be available at number 53. That's just keeping it all the way as real as I can keep it. Shout out to my guy Alex in the chat, Big Blue in the Bronx, man, doing great things over there. Make sure y'all go sub up to my boy Alex, Big Blue in the Bronx. Him and his brother and his homies doing great things over there on that channel, man. Keep supporting, man. Keep supporting. Now, assuming y'all did kick down that 2,000 door, man, 2,000 subs. Congratulations on that, and continue to grind, man. Definitely continue to grind, man. They do good things over there.
Mets. I draft him at 6. Sports, what's your problem with J.J. McCarthy? He's gonna be. It's either gonna be man McCarthy, but we'll get to that when we need on a different show.
I mean, look, if you got anything else to say about the Eagles, we can get ready to.
I don't have much to say.
I mean, yeah, so we're gonna switch gears, and there's only one more place to go right now. We're gonna go to New York City, baby. New York City, boss.
New York City.
And we're talking about the New York Football Giants.
Don't get it twisted.
And on Monday, yes, as Saquon Barkley walked out the door officially on Monday, but somebody else walked in. How big somebody else? Woo! We got the new Agent Zero. Agent Zero in New York City.
Spider-Man.
Brian Burns, the pass
back in New
rusher
York.
from the Carolina Panthers. New York Giants making a huge deal on Monday night, making a trade with Carolina, bringing in Brian Burns.
Well done,
They
Joe
did not
Shane.
have to give up very much. Did not have to give up very much, all things considering, man. A second and a fifth, I mean, I'll take that any day of the week and twice on Sunday for a talent like Brian Burns, man.
Essentially, we traded Leonard Williams for Brian Burns. That's what he did. Well, I mean, technically, it would be 47, but semantics are semantics, right? I am ecstatic about Brian Burns. I loved Brian Burns coming out in the draft. I was praying. I was doing my dance. I had my fingers crossed. I'm like, please fall to us. Please fall to us at 17. And, of course, the Panthers, those jerks, took him before us. I don't have a problem with him. I'm with whatever the GM does. I just asked the question as a contrast to what other Giant content guys have said about JJ at 6. Well, from what I'm hearing and the people that I follow, the NFL loves JJ McCarthy. And he's moving up draft boards in the top 10. I wouldn't be surprised if New England picked him at 3. That's what's happening. And May is falling in love. But like I said, Brian Burns, oh my God. If you want to talk about pass rush, you want to get excited about defense again. We got excited when Kayvon Thibodeau was there. We're like, finally, we got a pass rush. Well, guess what? we got a dynamic duo. Okay, we got a dynamic
Absolutely.
duo. And we got Spider-Man on one side. Hell, what other super? We got the Black Panther on the other. That's what we're doing right now. That's how it's looking to me. Okay, well, and I'm not trying to.
Ojulari as a rotational piece. Forget
Yes,
about
and
Ojulari as a
Ojulari
rotational piece now.
and the fine. We can call him. You want to call him some fine Wolverine at Ojulari. Boom, guy. You know what it's like when he says good luck, bub, or something like that. That's what you got right now. And not to mention sexy Dexy, Big D Lawrence. Okay, that guy's in the middle. You're gonna
Got
have
some pretty tremendous pass rush skills as well.
think about this. Think
From the
about this.
from the inside.
All you 25 people, I told you to close your eyes before, right? Now close your eyes again as I sit down with you, and you're now the offensive coordinator of the other team trying to defend again, trying to go up against this New York Giants defense. And you've got Brian Burns. Oh my God, guy gets almost 12 sacks a year, right? Then you got Dexter Lawrence. Oh my God, I don't want him to do his dance on top of my quarterback. Then D tackles yet to be named, will be there too. But then you have Kayvon Thibodeau, who's coming into his own as well. Right. So now I have to do this. And you know what their slogan's going to be? Brian Burns, if you're out there listening, you should make a shirt. And it should say with your face and Kayvon Thibodeau's face, and it should say, hey, meet me at the quarterback. Because that's what you're going to be doing. That's what you're going to be doing. So now I'm an offensive coordinator. I'm sitting there and I'm like, who am I going to double team? Who am I going to double team? Am I double teaming Dexter Lawrence, who's going to basically blow up my whole offensive line? He can take a guard and shove him right back into your face. Do I block Spider-Man, who has one of the illest bends in the game in terms of bending the edge and getting around the quarterback? And by the way, he's a lot of strip sacks too, which force fumbles and turnovers. And then you have Kayvon Thibodeau, who, while he has his ups and downs, right, still had 11 sacks last year. When he turns it on, he can turn it on. And let me tell you right now, with Brian Burns on the other side, Kayvon's going to turn it on. He just saw that man get paid $150 million. That's right. Let's pause for that. $150 million contract, right? He's going to say, listen, I need to get my bag too. I'm going to try to get my sacks, and let's have a sack party in the backfield. And as for Ojulari, look for that guy if he stays healthy, which is a big if with Ojulari, to either be, I think he might be traded if he's having a great year, but if not, look for him to have a breakout year because this is his fourth and last year on the deal, I do believe. If I'm not mistaken, I do think this is his fourth year. I think he was drafted in 2020 in round two, or no, 2021 with Kadarius Toney. So 21, 22, 23, 24 is his last season when you sign a 4-year deal, right? So look for him to have a breakout campaign because he's going to want to get paid as well, right? So you've got a guy on his contract here who's been doubted and outed on this team, right? You got Kayvon Thibodeau who had 11 sacks, but people still hate on him, myself included. I was a little hard on the kid, but sometimes he does take plays off. But we'll see what happens now when he has re-energized guy. And then you have Spider-Man, a.k.a. Spidey, a.k.a. BB, a.k.a. Brian Burns over there, who's going to be scorched earthing tackles all over the place. So you could sit there with your Jalen Hursts and your Dak Prescotts, but I'm going to take my trio of Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Brian Burns. Get excited, Giant fans. Defense wins championships. We have a stud on the defensive line, 2 studs on the defensive line. We have a stud at the middle linebacker position, and of course we probably have a stud at the cornerback position, right? So we have our 3 studs on defense in all 3 levels of our D. And all of them are going to be making plays, barring, something. I'm not even going to say it, but you know what I mean. That I word that comes into play.
It's a part of the game. It happens. It's a part of the game.
I'm not going to say it. I don't want to say it because I don't want people coming back on this show like, hey, man, I remember when you jinxed that team and you said all this. Yeah, it happens. All I'm saying right now on paper, this team has a formidable front four, okay, at least. And that's what they needed. And I think that's what their identity is going to be. And I know we've talked a lot about Brian Burns, and the Giants were players as well. But go ahead.
Another thing is it's a group of guys that could legitimately create pressure
for a long time
with the 4. Rush just sending the 4. You know what I mean? Sending your front without being so blitz dependent. You know what I mean? And things of that sort to create pressure. These guys can create the pressure and then it can leave you to not be exposed so much on the back end of your defense. Where the Giants do have some things to still fix up and figure out back there. Losing Xavier McKinney to the Green Bay Packers in free agency, I mean that's a big hit to the squad. But there's still some good young talent back there. Safeties, we got the Dame Belton and Jason Pinnock coming off a pretty
Don't worry
solid
about that.
year as
Don't worry
well.
about
So
that.
the Giants are putting together some sneakily good defense.
I want
Still,
to make one more
like I said,
about Burns.
gotta wait and see on offense. But they're really, I think, could make some noise on the defensive side of the football. Those pickups, that Brian Burns pickup was an absolute game changer for this football team, man. I
Yes,
think it's going to
defensively.
pay dividends big time. But
Before we get into the other picks, I
but
just
let's
want to
talk
say one more
about
thing.
let's talk
Before
about
we get into the other picks real quick, I just want to say one more thing. You got Brian Burns 5 years. You got Dexter Lawrence 3 or 4 years, right? You're going to have Kayvon Thibodeau for the next 2 or 3 years. Folks, when you talk about building a core, these three are going to be your core on defense, not to mention Okereke and Banks. You're starting to build guys who hopefully are going to be here for a little while. Remember Jesse Armstead's and the Strahans of the world and the Seahorns and those guys where they were here long term, right? This is what you're going to have with these guys. Hopefully Thibodeau, Burns, and Lawrence are here for a long time and starting out that way.
What's going on, Philly halftime, man? Go check my guy, Philly halftime out. Sub up to Philly halftime. Baseball season is upon us, and he will bring you all that Philadelphia Phillies content, man. Over there, he does games, live games, covers the Phillies, and he covers all other sports too, man. But definitely baseball is definitely one of his big things, man. He does great baseball content, man. So go check my guy, Philly halftime out, man. Go sub up if you haven't already, man. He's a good dude, great dude, man. But yeah, let's talk about some of the other moves the New York Giants made because they made some other good, solid moves as well. Bolstering up the offensive line a little bit. Hopefully some moves that'll work. I like the pickup of John Runyon Jr. I think people are sleeping on that young man's talent. I think he's definitely a positive upgrade to the interior offensive line for the New York Giants, man, and hopefully we can finally get things trending in the right direction. I can't quite remember the guy from Oakland's name, from Las Vegas' name. I can't really pronounce his name, to be quite
Illuminor.
honest, but yeah, him. He's another solid pickup, man.
Jermaine
He could
Illuminor, I think his name is.
he can come fixture. He can come in and potentially either be a starter or definitely be a swing player. He can play tackle or guard, so he definitely provides some good stuff to the New York Giants, man. And they just made some really quality moves as well, man. They added Jalen Mills from New England. I mean, he's nothing special by no means, but at the end of the day, he's a solid vet that can provide some depth at the cornerback position. And it's just been really exciting. Devin Singletary coming in. I would not say he's coming in to replace Saquon Barkley, you know what I mean? But he's coming in to add to that New York Giant backfield, and I'm sure the Giants will be adding some more pieces in that backfield as well. I'm not sure. I can't speak what their actual game plan is, but I'm assuming they're going to still continue to try to add more depth in that backfield as well.
Average is the best O-line we've ever had, so I'll take average. He's like, our O-line's average right now. I'll take average. Like Lord. Like, shoot, the team's average. I'll take average. I like the Devin Singletary.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, good. And I was gonna say good. I was gonna say average average would be an upgrade from what we've seen, because what we've seen the last X amount of years has been downright terrible. I mean, last year that was just despicable offensive line play for most of the season. I mean, they never really even. I can't even think if they even had a good solid game. They just had maybe a few good moments here and there, you know.
Yeah, a few plays,
but not really a complete solid, just good game out of this offensive line group. And hopefully that is a reflection of coaching, man. And I like to think that it is. I just don't think that all these guys the New York Giants have invested draft picks in over the course of the last few years They really all that bad? Seriously, had the picks just been that terrible and just been that wrong, and we just keep picking all the wrong guys, or are they just not getting coached up? So hopefully, we gotta change the guard there, man. Change with that, and we'll see if things can
Well,
really start to pan out a little bit better for this O line and can trend upwards.
again, the Giants invest big money in the O line again, right? I don't want to hear anybody say they didn't do it, right? And if the new quarterback comes in, or I should say when the new quarterback comes in, they have O line. Even for Daniel right now, now you have O line, Daniel. Like, you can't complain now. If you still stink behind this O line, we'll know that you really stink. I still think Daniel's going to stink behind this O line. But the point is that we finally have quality guys here. Jermaine Illuminor, I think his name is. I could be pronouncing that wrong, but he was solid with the Raiders. He's coming in. He's going to probably know the blocking scheme because it's going to be the guy from the Raiders who coached him. Right, he's already excited to be here, enthusiastic to be here. I like that attitude. John Runyon was one of the best pass blocking guards rated in the NFL. He's coming from an up and coming Green Bay team.
Excuse me, real quick. Like we just said that, and that hits a great point. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that hits a great point because if you look at the film from last year, I know pressure was coming from literally everywhere, but if you really break down some of that tape, a lot of pressure was just coming right up the damn gut from the
Right.
interior, man. I mean, terrible, terrible guard play a year ago for the New York Giants, man. Guards were absolute turnstiles in this offense. That's why I love to pick up the John Running Jr., man. It should just totally immediately be as an immediate upgrade to what we had on the field a year ago, and I just hopefully it'll pay. Hopefully it'll start paying dividends, and we can get a quarterback sometime. We can open up some fucking holes for these running backs, and no mess, no nets, no jets. You're right. I mean, I think Gray will have an opportunity to contribute a lot more this year in the offense. Now
Well,
that Saquon Barkley is no longer there, I think it just. I mean, he
uh,
showed a few signs a year ago, in a couple in his little moments that he got here and there, but we'll
listen, I'll
see,
tell you
man.
this.
I think he would
There's a
definitely
couple.
have an opportunity to contribute a lot more.
Devin Singletary was a decent signing. I like it. I'm not. I wouldn't say excited about it, but I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? I think he's a downhill runner. I think he'll give you some explosive plays. I think he'll be able to block, and I think he's probably going to be RB1. Right? Eric Gray, I think, is on the roster bubble. I think Gary Brightwell is probably fired. Matt Breida's probably not being brought back. Joshua Corbin, there's another guy on there, Dion something or other. That's a running back that they brought in. I'm going to look his name up because I think I brought him up before. I don't know if I left him up here. But if I go back to the running backs, right? I think I was here. Hold on one second. Yes, here we are. Deion Jackson. It's interesting that they brought him back. They brought him in last year as a running back, and they signed him again back to the practice squad. He's from Georgia. He came out of Duke. He was with Indianapolis and Cleveland, and they signed him to the Giants. Interesting. I think they're going to go running back by committee. I think they're also going to draft one. I think Gray has to play hard. I mean, he's not guaranteed a spot. I know he's drafted here, but he's not guaranteed a spot. He's going to get every opportunity. I think Gary Brightwell and Matt Breida aren't going to be here, but I think they're going to have maybe 3, maybe 4 backs. I think they'll have Devin Singletary. It'll probably be Eric Gray. It'll probably be a rookie and probably like one of these Joshua Corbin or, this other guy I just told you about. What was his name again? Sorry. Dion, Jackson.
Beyond something there.
Yeah, Deion Jackson. So and the only reason I'm saying that is because they brought him back on a futures deal. He came in, they were going to give him playing time. He got injured in a game, and then he went on IR, and they brought him back. So, but that's not the signing I'm most excited about. No. Mac, the signing I'm most excited about is Drew Lock. Give me my quarterback, baby. The guy's got swaggy. Go look at his videos, right? He got that swag to him. He got that locked on, you know what I mean? To go, man. I never want to see Daniel Jones again. I don't have to. Drew Lock, I know people don't want to see this. Here, I'll tell you why I like the Drew Lock signing. I know it's weird that people think it's that I like Drew Lock. Here's why. One, he's young, right? I would say young, but young-ish. He's like 27, 28, right? Think about this. If he balls out, which is what he's thinking to do, because Drew Lock is not coming here to say, yeah, let me take second fiddle to Daniel Jones. He probably when they called him up and they told his agent what was going down, it's funny. Locke is from the same draft class. Fucking Brian Burns is from the same draft class. Wouldn't it have been funny if we had Brian Burns and Drew Lock instead? You know what I mean? Like we could have had that combination, because Drew Lock again was one of the higher rated quarterbacks. I'm just excited to have a guy not named Jones here. Drew Lock has a little swag to him, and I think he's going to come here with a little chip on his shoulder. I'm not going to just sit here and say Drew Lock is the backup to the quarterback, especially when you got a guy that's not even ready. They don't even know he's ready to play yet, per se, right? We heard that he's progressing. Now there's rumors about the Giants starting to leak out that they're concerned with his injury history. So now you have Tommy DeVito and Drew Lock here. Now, you may not like Drew Lock. I don't really care if you do or not. I think the upside of bringing a guy like this in, and I was saying this to I said this on Premium Takes, and I said it a few days ago in the space. I said, and somebody laughed at me in the space, but I thought about it like this. I said there was a tier of quarterbacks I wanted the Giants to get as backups if they were going to punt the quarter, decide to go a different route in the draft. It was like Drew Lock. It was like Tyler Huntley, guys who are young that you could say, all right, they're young here. Maybe we have some type of, potential here, right? And Drew Lock was brought up, and I'm like, that's a guy. If I'm Joe Shane, at least I can bring in a guy that might have some potential. And maybe I go at wide receiver at 6 if I don't like the quarterbacks or I can't get up or somebody trades for me. At least I have Drew Lock here, right? I don't have to rely on Daniel Jones, especially a guy who's been injured, right? So then maybe you can draft Michael Pratt, Joe Milton, something like that. Now, I don't advocate to do this. I still think you should take one at 6. However, that's what I'm thinking. That's why Drew Lock excites me, because if he does, Brian Dable has rehabbed quarterbacks. And I'm sure Brian Dable had a little something to do with this. Like, if you're going to get me a backup, get me somebody who has some fucking traits that if he happens to blow up like Tyrod Taylor did, you can be like, oh, we at least have a trade piece or another bridge quarterback if you need to sit like a Drake May, a J.J. McCarthy, or whatnot. The other thing is, if Drew Lock sucks, it's only $5 million. Oh, and by the way, you know why the Giants are going to draft a quarterback? Oh, with all that being said, is they only have one on the roster past next season, okay? Let's be honest. Daniel Jones ain't going to be the quarterback in 2025. He may not even be the quarterback in 2024. And Drew Lock is signed for a 1-year deal. So that means you're going to go quarterback at some point in the draft. But with that being said, I am excited for Drew Lock and to see him be QB1. And I think he should be. I think if you want me to believe that you're moving on from Daniel, you draft your quarterback, you do it. No Mets, no Nets said, and you say that Daniel's not ready. He can be the third quarterback, emergency quarterback. Somebody goes down, you trade that motherfucker on the first rocket out of here. Say, see you, man. We'll take a 4th-round pick for you. Boom, get him out of here. And then you have Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito, who'll be on your practice squad probably, and then your rookie.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff, Adam, man. Up here in the chat, Alex had put a comment up in the chat about Strahan hating Running's dad because he was the Eagles, played on the Eagles back in the day. Absolutely. Arch rivals. Michael Strahan, John Runyon, man. Great stories to tell between those two guys, the wars they had on the field, man. They've actually become good friends since then. And as a matter of fact, I was sitting about 3 rows behind John Runyon at the Hall of Fame when Michael Strahan got in the Hall of Fame. John Runyon was also there, sitting about 3 rows behind him, man, showing support to his buddy Michael Strahan, man. It was Michael Strahan recorded probably his most career sacks courtesy of John Runyon. That's why he just always used to give John Runyon, man, so much shit, man. But it was always great between those two. The banner was always great between those two, and the rivalry on the field was awesome.
You gotta have your enemy
for a long, long time, man.
Woo!
For a long time. So that was always fun, man. Back in the day, man. But
I just love it. I love how it comes full circle in the NFL, right? Full circle in the NFL.
Absolutely, man. Now his son's a part of Big Blue, man. So it was only right, man. What's going on, Biz? Shout out to Biz, man. I hope he is in the chat. How you doing out there today, Miz? I know you've been pretty excited, all juiced up, man.
You gotta be
making these moves.
Man. And I'll tell you why. You know why? Because the black cloud is slowly starting to drift away, and you're starting to see the sunshine. And by the black cloud, I mean the time on Daniel Jones's career here. Okay, it is starting to slowly get there. You're starting to see the fan bases slowly coming together. People are going in other spaces. There are still the Daniel Jones lovers who are going to die on that hill, and you're starting to see that landscape become more barren and barren as we go day by day. But what you're starting to see, and this is what was a rumor that was out there, was someone heard that if the Giants went O-line heavy in free agency, that they would be drafting their quarterback in there because management did not want and no O-line to be protecting of a guy. Well, guess what? You have these two linemen who signed for here for at least 2+ years on your roster. Looks like they're going quarterback. You're making these big moves that you normally can't have a big franchise time guy on here for. It's all pointing in that direction. And I think people are getting juiced up because that's what they're starting to feel. That's what they're starting to see, right? Joe Shane has been given, I believe right now, full autonomy to run this team. Because why? Because guys like Barkley are gone, guys like McKinney are gone, guys like Daniel Jones are on their way out. And why I'm happy about that is Dexter Lawrence got paid on the merit of his play. All right, the guy was a friggin' monster, okay? He was a monster since day one he got here. Andrew Thomas, same thing. You could argue McKinney was, but there was some drama that the Giants don't like with their players, with the ATV accident, the speaking out to the reporters and stuff. He did want to be a Giant. There was a chance that he wanted to be a Giant and offered that up. But with that being said, Schoen was like, all right, now I can go make it. Like, when have the Giants made a blockbuster trade for an edge rusher? They haven't done any of that shit. This is like the first time in my long history the Giants made a blockbuster move like this. So, I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Giants should get QB, wide receiver, and OG in the first 3 rounds. I absolutely agree. Doesn't really matter what order, at least for me in the first 2. Doesn't matter what order. You can go as long as you get me one of these things. As long as the QB is here, I'm fine with it. Right? Because I think Drew Lock does have some talent. So that allows you to be like, maybe you can get a guy here who may need a little bit more development, like a Joe Milton, and say, hey, listen, he needs a year. We got Drew Lock here. He's doing fine. We'll bring in Joe Milton, So, but to be honest with you, I love what Joe Shane did with Brian Burns. This one says, so if we draft a B at 6, wide receivers, a pick at 47, that's how I would make it. And trust me, there's some good wide receivers in the draft, okay? There's Leggett. There's Keon Coleman, who we could go. And by the way, we could trade up for, right? So, the reason why you pick your quarterback at 6 is so you don't have to do gymnastics to try to get one later on when it becomes slimmer pickings, right?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. People are like overthinking it. Like they're just overthinking it too much. It's a good quarterback class. It's some good quarterbacks. You got to get one. If you really like one of those guys, you got to get them, man. You can't be leaving anything to chance right now. This situation, the Giants need a quarterback. The quarterback position on this team is a problem. It's a problem that needs to be addressed. And address it when you have this kind of talent to choose from. Address it. Like,
and next year,
don't overthink it.
Next year, there's going to be a ton of receivers that are probably going to come out where if they decide to go receiver again, they can get one in the first round. I'm not saying to punt receiver, but it's not like I'm when I go in the second round, I'm going to not be able to get a top flight guy. Like I said, there's like 11 to 15 to 17 guys that could give late first round grades in the receiver room. It's pretty deep. So that means I'm going to get a quality player, and the lineman group is pretty deep as well. So but the quarterbacks after a quarterback like 8, there's a drop off, right? I don't want to get, as a guy from Portland, Maine says, a cow chip at a quarterback. Right? I don't want a Devin Leary at number 6. You know what I mean? Because that's not what we're going to do it. If Joe Milton grades out to a 3rd round pick and you want to take Joe Milton because of his traits, fine. That's a better name than Devin Leary. But and I think they should take one at 6. I'm advocating they take one at 6 because, again, you getting cute is what ends up you being stuck with Daniel Jones, because then next year you reach for Carson Beck or some other bum when you could have had him right now. Just take your guy now and worry about wide receiver later, right? You just signed Isaiah McKenzie. right? You have Jalen Hyatt and Wandale Robinson on the roster. You have a couple guys that you believe in. You have a tight end that's coming back. You can still get a quality receiver in the draft. And oh, by the way, next year when your pockets get bigger, Calvin Ridley just got signed for mad money. How come, you're not thinking about maybe getting a free agent wide receiver next year because you'll have a small quarterback contract to deal with, and you can then bring in a receiver next year as a full-time bona fide starter instead of having to rely on a draft pick who you have to flip a coin to see if is good, right? So for me, the Giants need to rebuild, right? They've already got a bridge quarterback in here in Drew Lock, who's, by the way, healthy, right? You have Tommy DeVito and Drew Lock as your quarterbacks right now. You get in the draft, let's say McCarthy or May. I don't care. I don't care if it's McCarthy, May, Penix, Daniels. I don't give a shit. Even if it's Bo Nix, Spencer Rattler, like, give me those solid guys. Like, Bo Nix is like Spencer Rattler intrigues me because of many things, and I would put him over Bo Nix right now. But don't leave this draft without a guy in tow with you, right? Because guess what? Next year in 2025, because right now these are the type of moves you're making, tells me that you got the green light to rebuild. Tells me that you got the green light where you may be able to be here in 2025, barring an absolute disaster of a season, right? With that being said, I don't believe the Giants are going to end up being, with Brian Burns and guys like that on the team, I don't think they're going to be a dog shit. So I think they're going to win 6 to 9 games. And if you look at where that prism is right now, that's like borderline at 7 or 8, right? And then like 15. So if you're drafting within that range, you may have to give up the farm to get your quarterback. Why wouldn't I want a guy already in-house so that next year all I have to do is draft the best motherfucker available, whatever that may be, whether that's tight end, wide receiver, whatnot. Bang. Now I can build my team because guess what? I got free agency dollars to fill in whatever I need to do. I can go get a big ticket item. I can go be a big spender on a skill position player. Like, that's what people forget. You saw what the Giants did this year. Imagine when they actually have cap space next year and they're getting DJ's contracts off the books or partially off the books. You're going to have no quarterback in here that's going to cost you worth any money because even when you draft one, he's going to be on a small stipend, right? Rookie stipend. So then you can basically unload wherever you want. And that's the route I think they should go. I don't think you should wait to 2025 and hope that a veteran comes back like a Dak Prescott or a guy like that. I think you get a guy in here now. Develop a guy. If he fucking sucks while you're building your team, guess what? If you find out that J.J. McCarthy or Drake May suck in 3 years, that's when you go trade a first-round pick to go get a Matthew Stafford or Tua Tagovailoa or something like that. When you're like, fuck it, we drafted this guy, he fucking sucks. Our team is built to be in a Super Bowl. Now that's when you go and then say, all right, and pivot at that point. But give this a try first.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Alex in the chat with another great comment, always dropping them gems in the chat, man. Like you said, I hear the argument, oh, you won't get a neighbors in the late rounds. Devontae Adams, Antonio Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown have entered the convo. Absolutely. These are guys that obviously we know Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown,
Tyreek Hill,
receivers in the game. Presently, right now, Antonio Brown had a run of being the best wide receiver in the league for several years. These guys, none of these guys were day one picks.
Tyreek Hill.
Even these guys were. So it is what it is, man. With these wide receivers, and in this draft class is so many great wide receivers. I mean, you can legitimately get a stud wide receiver, a guy that can be an absolute game changer for you, and probably the third round of this draft, there's going to be wide receivers of that quality still available, and even the third round of this draft, man. So you got to get the quarterback, man. You got to go get your quarterback. I agree, Adam, 100%. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not saying necessarily I would take the number 6 overall pick, but I'm trying to tell you, man, something about Bo Nix. Everybody's starting to kind of sleep on him a little bit for some reason. I'm telling you, man, that guy, it's something about that kid, man. It's just something about him.
Well, he's a winner. But there's another guy you forget, George Pickens. Second round pick, come on, is that guy not dynamite? So I'm not saying when we talk about a wide receiver in the second round, I'm not trying to say I want to do the same thing with quarterback and get less. I just know the stockpile and the surplus is a lot greater in that particular category than it is in quarterback. It's like when you go shopping at the store, right? They only have a certain amount of limited while supplies last. You ever hear that in a commercial? While supplies last. Well, guess what? Supplies in the quarterback position are bleak in the draft. You only got a certain amount. Okay, and yes, there's going to be some guy like a Devin Leary who's going to be Mr. Irrelevant, or some guy that comes up and wins, you know, rookie of the year or whatever shit happens like that, right? We missed it. That's going to happen every year, but that shouldn't be your plan. I don't want to shop at the bargain basement aisle unless I absolutely have to. If I have money in my pocket and I can go afford to go get a new car, then I go get the new car regardless of what I got already in the driveway, right? Because I may not get a chance to do it again. So you do it. Adam, I agree. But I don't know if he had an influence, let's put it this way, on Daniel Jones' contract. He had a huge influence. I do believe they were going to franchise tag him, and, the powers that be kind of like, well, how much is the franchise tag? Give him 2 years worth of franchise tag as kind of like, we fucked up, kid. Here you go. Here's your life-changing money. You're never going to get a contract. You knew when Daniel Jones signed that contract, he was never getting that money again. You knew he was never getting that money again. So I can't blame him for cashing in on stupidity, right? And let's be honest, I don't think Joe Shane, by his body language, wanted to do that stupidity. And thankfully, he was brilliant enough to put an out clause after the second year, because he knew in the back of his mind this shit could happen and blow up in my face. And as I spoke about last year when he was signed, I think I wouldn't be surprised if they have a chance to get a quarterback and they draft one to develop. And here we are, bada bing, bada boom. Adam Costas again is right. Why did you people listen to me? Gosh darn it. Why don't y'all listen to me? That's all I have to say about that. Who cares about it? Stop arguing about, the Washington fans. Just let it be and enjoy the offseason. Not a fan of Bo Nix. I'll take the other 5. Explain, Alex, why you're not a fan of Bo Nix. I know a lot. I'm intrigued by Bo Nix, but I can tell that there's a lack of arm strength there. Do I think he's a solid quarterback? Yes. Do I think he can do everything you need him to do? Yes. When you watch his highlight tapes, you think, wow, why is this guy doing that? He's made some NFL-type throws. Do I think he's the guy the Giants want? I think he fits the profile to a certain extent, but I would rather pick Penix Jr., but I'm not going to sit here and shit on Bo Nix and say, oh, this guy fucking sucks. The Giants shouldn't take him. I'd rather have no. If I'm looking at Daniel Jones and Bo Nix, I'm taking Bo Nix. Okay? If I'm looking at Drew Lock and Bo Nix, I'm probably taking. Well, I'm going to trade Drew Lock just on traits, but because they're damn near the same age. But that's more of like, hey, you know what? I'll bring in Bo Nix. But when we're talking about the quarterbacks that we have right now, I can't be picky about Bo Nix. The only guy I don't am hard.
Bo Nix. With Bo Nix, for me, it's just the intangible thing of the intangible attribute of the experience, man. And it's just something you can't. He has so much more experience than these other guys coming out. I'm not saying he's more talented than these guys, but he just has that experience factor. He's seen so much, and that's something to be said. I mean, he's seen pretty much everything you can see. I mean, out of most of these guys, and he just kind of, I don't know, something weird. I don't understand. He just looks like a quarterback. He looks like a quarterback.
Listen, I take Kirk Cousins. I take Kirk Cousins all day. I mean, Kirk Cousins, people sleep on Kirk Cousins. To me, he's a franchise guy. He just hasn't won much, right? We sit here and talk about guys. Who needs perfect? Daniel Jones needs absolute perfect. He needs ivory tower to perform. Kirk Cousins still put up numbers and didn't have to have a great team. His offensive line was shitty. He still moved around and still threw for 4,000 yards. Let's not slap Kirk Cousins and say, well, that's what Bo Nix. If you draft Bo Nix and you get Kirk Cousins-like career out of him, then we all missed the boat. Because right now, Kirk Cousins, if you were to redraft that draft, he's probably going higher than he went in the 4th round. Right now, if you're telling me that this is going to be his career.
Well, he's going in the first round.
Right. He's the only quarterback.
After what we know now, he's going.
Right. And so, I mean, I know that people don't, the thing is this, right? If you like Bo Nix, you're going to take him at 6, and you're going to say, fuck everybody else. George Young, they said, why didn't you take Phil Simms later? He's like, I had a pick right now. Why am I going to take it later? If that's the pick you want, and you don't think you're going to get him in the 2nd round, and you feel like your scouting department has made him a 2nd round grade, and he's come back, and you're like, he's in the 2nd round, and we're not going to be able to make it to get to him in the 2nd round, Well, then you take him at 6, and you don't worry about the hassle of worrying about trading up in the second round. Like when you get a chance to do it, you take the guy, whoever that may be. I don't know who they love. They love 4 quarterbacks, is what I know. We don't
This
know
is
who
why I
that
love
4
this
is.
time of the year. This is why I love this time of the year. I mean, here's Miz in the chat right now. He says Drake May is his guy. Clearly, he feels May is the perfect match to us. As Dable
There's some
feels he can make
bookends.
him into Josh Allen. That's a serious big shoes right there. But I mean, we'll see. Bookends. Penix is his guy, man. Look, Penix can spin that football, man. A lefty, man. It'd be interesting dynamic right there.
Well,
But at the end of the
I
day,
like I
man,
like May,
the Giants
and I
got to
like
get one of these guys.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We have 5 guys. You're at 6. Not all 5 teams are going to be drafting a quarterback, right? You'll have a chance to get one of those guys, and you got to make sure is what you want. I think May is the guy that they want, is the guy that they're actually going for. And I think the McCarthy thing, wouldn't be surprised if JJ McCarthy either goes at 6 to the Giants or 6 to the Patriots, because they're going to be like, oh, we like JJ McCarthy, you like Drake May, let's do a swap here. We're still going to get our guy that we like and get more picks for next year to build around the team, and have a guy like Jacoby Brissett groom that guy. You have Drew Lock who comes in here. Drake May and Drew Lock basically are going to be having howitzers or cannons, and that's it. I know there'll be better options.
Absolutely.
We're obviously going to be better options, right? Or we're hoping they're better off. We're hoping there's McCarthy, Penix, and May there. We're hoping that's the case. But if Bo Nix is there, and everyone, if Bo Nix is number 6, and all 5 were taken, you take Bo Nix, and you say fuck it, I'm just going to take Bo Nix. The worst that could happen is I'll take another guy next year or 2 years from now if he sucks, right? Bo Nix is a competent quarterback, you know. So they're not going to trade with New England in the next few days. Albert Breer came out with a report saying the Giants have inquired about New England. So has Minnesota. Okay. So Minnesota's inquired, the Giants have inquired. What it means is, to me, the Patriots are willing to shop. And if they're willing to shop, it tells me that they probably like a quarterback not named May and not named JJ. Okay. If they think their intel is, I've heard that if they're not getting Jaden Daniels, they're trading down in the draft. So to me, I think they even like J.J. McCarthy a little ahead of thing because of the Michigan aspect. Remember, Michigan quarterback just won them titles. Another Michigan quarterback is a winner. You know, he can sit for a year with Jacoby Brissett is your quarterback, and you know you got your guy there, and he's 21 years old, can hold the clipboard. You have a long time with him. Giants are Drake May fans. And like I don't want to compare him to Josh Allen. He has Josh Allen like features. Okay. He's 6'5", he's 230 pounds. He has a great arm, he has great arm placement. There are some flaws to his game, but I am not as worried as others are about the flaws to his game, and here's why. Brian Daboll is here. Okay. Brian Daboll, the guy you brought in to fix Daniel Jones, we're going to give him a guy with more talent, and we just got to fix the guy's footwork. We just got to fix the guy's mechanics. We don't got to fix his processing, because that's what people are not telling you about. They're telling you everything with Drake May is all physical. That's fine. I need the mental part. If he's got the mental part down, I can fix the physical. I can do that shit. I'm not worried about that. Can the guy read pre and post snap? If that's the case, then I want you. Our quarterback now, the problem is he can't read pre and post snap. They do one defensive move and it frigs up his whole thing. So for me, you can look at Drake. You can look at Drake May and say all the flaws that you want, or this is not your guy. There are 2 reasons I love J.J. McCarthy and Drake May. Well, many reasons. Drake May is he understands defenses. He can make all the throws, and he is not just a one-read quarterback. He understands how to layer the ball, and he has great arm talent. J.J. McCarthy I love because his processing pre and post snap is brilliant. That's good. Why do you think Brock Purdy is so good? Because he understands where to go with the football. The second the ball snapped and after the defense does something, he makes a move. That's the reason why he's doing it. People want to say, oh, it's the offensive line, it's this, that, and everything. No, it's because he understands it. And when you understand the answers to the test already, when the question comes up, you're not sitting there saying A, B, C, or D. You already know that it's A. And if it's not A, then it's going to be B because, this equation equals that, right? With Daniel Jones, if it's not A, he's stuck on A. And he's going to get it wrong regardless. It's like, fuck, it's not A, I'm still throwing to A. You know what I mean? And so those are the things you need to look for, okay? Leadership, qualities for J.J. McCarthy are great. I'm not looking at his stats. I know he can make all the throws. I saw it at the combine. I saw it in his tape, and I saw what he could do in those big-time spots in games. All right? He came from a program that ran an NFL system, so he's going to understand that, right? So, and Drake May, I'm not going to draft because of the helmet, but he's got the traits. I'll let Mac talk. I've talked enough.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, it's just polarizing and intriguing the way particularly these 6 quarterbacks. I mean, I think it's pretty much they're the consensus top 6 quarterbacks.
He does
Obviously,
that
and the way people everybody sees it, everybody sees them all a little bit different. I think what most people agree on, pretty much everybody agrees that Caleb
It's his
Williams
traits.
is at the top of the list, obviously amongst these guys, but. It's amazing just the way I see people ranking these guys. All different people have different feelings about them. I saw I think it was a tweet by Chris Sims, as a matter of fact. I think it was a tweet by him, and where he ranked 6 guys, and he had Drake May at number 6 on the list, calling Drake May a project.
Good. He could be our project. You know, the one thing I will say,
it's just.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say. So I just think. That's just what I find interesting about this whole process, and I'm kind of glad the New York Giants are kind of in the mix and involved in it, because it just makes it that much more exciting entering the draft, man. Like I said, just don't overthink it. Like I said, it's not. You just got to get your guy, man, because you don't have a guy right now. You got to get your guy.
Right. You don't have anybody you can trust,
and you got an opportunity. You have an opportunity in this draft. You can't. Like you said, wait till next year and see what might happen next year. You don't know what's going to happen.
But
you know what's in front of you right now. You know what's in front of you right now, and you got some good choices to choose from.
What if you're the Broncos right now and you're 12 or you're 13, right? Now all the bullshit about we can't trade up for it. What is going to happen next year if you don't have your guy in here? You're going to have to trade the farm up here, and all we're going to hear about is, well, we got to put on a quarterback, or maybe we trade Drew Luck, or that, or this, the other thing. And it's like, yo, get your guy now. Like I said, get him now. Put him in the cupboard for later on in your time. Forget about him. You can start Drew Luck. You make Tommy DeVito your emergency quarterback if you need to, or you can even make your first string your emergency and elevate Tommy DeVito from the practice squad or whatever the case may be, right? Because what you want to do is get away from the Daniel Jones era, but what you can't do is you just if they think that someone needs seasoning, you brought in Drew Lock to be your bridge. Let him get beat up. Let him figure it out. Let this kid see and get a guy in-house and get some experience. What do you think happened with Eli Manning? I keep referencing this part of history for the Giants. They drafted a quarterback. They went and got their guy. They moved heaven and earth to get him. And guess what? He played 9 games. He didn't play well, but he got experience. And then in 2005, they were like, oh, we can get a quarterback. We can get a receiver, a linebacker, and a tackle. And then they drafted a couple guys in the draft that were actually home run players. And away they went. So it's not like they were crippled. I don't want to sit here and not have a guy in 2025 and be sitting at like 15 and be like, well, we got to see if we can find a quarterback. Because guess what? The top quarterbacks are going to be taken in the top 10. And let's be honest, there might be 3 or 4 guys that we're going to miss out on, and we're going to sit here and take fucking Carson Beck, a guy who looks like Napoleon Dynamite, and be like, oh, this guy's going to save our franchise. No, let's get a guy now.
Yeah, man, but most definitely. And one thing else we didn't really talk about with the New York Giants, man. A couple guys that they retained, for instance. I think one of the key guys they retained is the return man.
Oh, Shinsky, Gunner?
That guy, Gunner, whatever. Yeah, him. That guy.
Well, they got Isaiah McKenzie now, so.
I think, yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, what Gunner brought to the return game once the Giants acquired him a season ago during last year, man, it was definitely an impact.
It was worth it.
Man.
It was worth it.
A guy with some real experience back there, and he just definitely made you feel a little bit more comfortable. I mean, Eric Gray, I think, kind of got pushed back there, and he was clearly a little bit shaky at times, man.
He never returned a punt in his life.
Sometimes you didn't know what to expect. You didn't know what to really expect. And when they got Gunner back there, it was definitely some stability to the special teams. So I think that was a good sign in bringing him back, man.
I don't mind him. I think you need those signings. The long snapper was crucial. We've had long snapper problems in our on our history of our Giants team, so that's good. I think they brought back Carter Coughlin. So I mean, these are the type
Yes,
of
they
guys.
did.
These are core guys that are special teams guys that people forget that that's still part of the game. And thanks to Gunnar Oshensky, we were in a game, right? That Rams game could have got out of hand had they tackled us down instead, right? Because our offense wasn't really producing much. And then guess what? He scores a touchdown, and you're right back in the game 94 yards later. So, and is he the flashiest guy? No. Is he going to be, going up against McKenzie for that spot? I do believe so. But at least it was good to have him back when you get guys back. I am basically done, with I think the Giants are done. You're only going to see these back end 1 year type contracts from now on. I do believe. I don't think they're going to do too much more. And then I think they'll extend Dexter Lawrence.
No big splash moves right now.
I think they'll extend Dexter Lawrence and AT and probably rework Brian Burns' contract a little bit to get some money for the rookies and to sign those rookies and if anything else for the season.
I don't know if you heard about this, but there was some rumors swirling earlier, man. That the Eagles might be looking to acquire the services of one Odell Beckham Jr. Man, I don't know.
Who cares?
Some rumors I heard swirling around.
Good. He probably wants to go with Saquon Barkley and they go dye their hair green together. I mean, give me a break. The guy last year couldn't do much on a team that, he got outplayed by Zay Flowers. Okay. So, Odell Beckham Jr. can go to Philadelphia.
Not the same guy anymore.
I mean, he would fit perfectly there.
Probably destroyed him.
Well, he would fit perfectly there as a slot receiver because he wouldn't have to be the number one guy. So, again, when you have those five on the field, you can slip an Odell Beckham Jr. in there. I mean, he's still got some juice in his legs, but he's not the bona fide number one anymore. You want to bring him in as a guy, but for him, for here for us, no. You know what that Austin Powers? No.
He's not the same guy he was.
If you're going to give me that player, then give me Hollywood Brown then. If you're going to go out and give me a receiver, give me Hollywood Brown. At least that guy is young.
Hollywood Brown just signed with somebody?
Did he sign with somebody? I don't know if he did. I
think he did.
I thought he was still out there. The last time I checked he was still out there on TV. So that we've been.
No, I'm pretty sure he signed with somebody. I heard about it earlier today. As a matter of fact, I think can't remember who it was now, but
Hollywood Brown.
Somebody in the AFC, I think. I want to say.
Oh no, he's still up there. He's still up there. It says some names available: Mike Williams, Marquise Brown, Tyler Boyd. This was an hour ago. Odell Beckham Jr., DJ Shark. If you're gonna do that, there's Michael Thomas you can get. There's Tyler Boyd I wouldn't mind bringing in here. But the guy I want right now is Mike Williams. But I don't think they're gonna do that. Just because he's big. He's he would do what he would allow you to have. He would be the best receiver on the roster, hands down. He could be a number one for you if you wanted to, but he's probably got a bad back. But we'll see. That's a guy I would look to do. But hey, man, I can't believe
I wanted was not available.
Who?
The guy I wanted is not available because his team decided to franchise him, and he is now disgruntled and wants to trade. But T. Higgins is the guy I definitely would have wanted. If
right.
Would have been able to make something.
Well, there's still a possibility to do it. There's still a possibility, but they're going to want. They know how good he is, right? It's not like they're franchising an up and comer, but they could rescind the franchise tag, and I don't think they're going to. I mean, who knows? They might mend fences.
They're not going to. They want to take one more swing. They want to take one more swing at it with T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and those guys. They want to take.
I don't blame them.
At it before they have to choose, which ultimately I'm sure is going to be Jamar Chase. So. I think that's just really what all that's all about, man. But it's definitely been a great show, man. We're approaching that 2-hour mark, man. Getting close to it, man. Bringing all this craziness from the free agent.
Almost 20 people in the chat. It's crazy.
NFC East has been a very, very busy division in free agency over the course of the last few days. Other than the Dallas Cowboys not making a lot of noise, man, but it's been fun, man. And I don't know when we'll get back to see y'all again, man. It'll be probably going to do one more show, at least one more show before the draft for sure, and definitely talk a lot of draft talk and whatnot, man. But off season it gets a little slower, man. We don't bring them to you each and every Wednesday, man. But it's been fun today. Definitely appreciate everybody in the chat through all the platforms, YouTube, Facebook. Definitely appreciate all the support in the chat, man. It's been fun, man. You guys have been great.
You've been great.
And
I'm glad you entertained us.
w-
29. We hit 30 people. We hit 30 people at one point. Thank you so much. Me and Mac put a lot of work into the show. Mac mostly. He does all the work. He's the guy that carries the show. But I just want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you to Mac as well. We wouldn't be here without him. And we've come from two fans a week to now here we are hitting over 20. At one point we had 32 people watching us, so that is pretty good. I want to say thank you to Mac and thank you to guys out there for keeping it 100 and keeping it fire.
So yeah, definitely stay tuned. Then we'll keep you posted on. I'll keep you posted on when we can do another show. Like I said, plan on doing another one pre-draft, and we do a lot of draft talk. And we definitely come in the off season, come with the show after the draft and talk about all the draft picks and whatnot. So we definitely had those up and coming.
So next few weeks
coming up in the near future, man. So definitely stay tuned, man. Keep your ear to Twitter, man. I'll be posting updates, letting you know when we're gonna be coming through, man. But I'm Mac the Giants fan. This is my guy, the super dope co-host Adam Costas, man.
Thank you so much. See you later.
This has been another great edition, a great off-season edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants Fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants Fan. That's MacDa Giants Fan.